to the RTE main evening news now with Anne Doyle.
Good evening and welcome. The headlines tonight. As winter holds its icy grip, the third pensioner has lost his life. HSE says A&E departments are at crisis point, dealing with weather-related injuries. The Tánaiste confirms politicians will have pay and pension cuts in the budget. More heavy snow is forecast for the north and northwest overnight, and Met Éireann says temperatures are set to fall as low as -10 degrees. The freezing weather has claimed the life of another pensioner as the body of an elderly man was discovered outside his isolated County Mayo home. And the HSE says the number of people presenting at A&E departments with weather-related fractures has reached crisis point. Alva Keneally has the first of our reports tonight.
The body of the 85-year-old man was discovered near Ballina yesterday afternoon. It's believed he slipped and fell on icy ground a short distance from his home. He's the third pensioner to die since the cold snap began last week.
It's dreadful. We've got to take cold seriously, and particularly people who are living alone and perhaps frail, housebound or even bedbound. We've got to look after each other.
As snow turns to ice, the situation regarding people slipping and falling on footpaths has become a crisis, says the HSE.
The additional operating theatre activity is very telling. These fractures are complex, and as A&E consultants would tell us, in many cases they can be life-changing injuries.
There's no doubt that the fracture lists, the trauma lists are going to fill up the hospitals now around the country. The ice is causing more people to fall than the snow did, and I think that that's going to impose restrictions on the ability of the hospitals to admit elective patients or planned admissions.
The snow has also affected blood supplies. Today, donors gave of their time at clinics around the country so stocks can be rebuilt ahead of Christmas and the New Year.
Over that Christmas period, demand for blood remains constant, yet people don't have access to the donation clinics. So really we're asking people to come forward over the next 3 weeks, as well as those that have come forward today.
With another freezing night forecast, the message for people is to only go out if it's necessary. Alva Keneally, RTE News.
Something remarkable happened across Ireland over the past 24 hours, say the Severe Weather Coordination Committee, as communities in every corner emerged with shovels and brushes to clear roads and footpaths, and it's had an immediate impact.
I would like to thank the literally thousands of people who have tackled the frozen snow and ice outside their own premises and those of their neighbours. This is one of the big changes from the January experience, and we hope this community action will be the norm in future severe weather in this country.
But heavy snowfall of last week has in many instances turned into hard ice, and there's concern motorists in particular seem to be ignoring the danger.
We continue to advise great caution, and we are particularly concerned from reports which indicate that some people are driving way too fast for the road conditions that are out there.
The daily briefing by the committee was also told those dangerous road conditions will continue into most of next week, with a nationwide thaw expected towards the weekend.
We are still looking at a relatively less cold period from midweek onwards, so that from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we can see that the conditions should be such as to allow a good clearance of the snow and the ice that's built up over the past number of days.
Transport providers say operations are back to normal with some delays. In the capital, Dublin Bus says it has encountered problems in housing estates similar to those reported nationwide, where areas away from main roads continue to struggle.
Some of the housing estates are difficult, they're hilly. The roads are very, very narrow. There's a lot of car traffic parked on them, so they can just prove difficult. And some of the other areas, particularly along the foothills of the mountains, they're difficult every year at this time by just nature of their geography.
Schools will now be inspecting safety within their grounds before deciding to reopen ahead of the expected thaw. The expert group saying what's most important now is that motorists slow down and the community stays on alert. Ray Kennedy, RTE News.
As workers prepare to take to the roads again tomorrow, conditions in housing estates in many areas remain particularly difficult and in some cases dangerous. Our reporter Will Goodbody visited the Oak Glade estate near Naas in County Kildare today to see how residents were coping.
Maria Dunphy and son Aaron spent much of today clearing the driveway of their house. After more than a foot of snow fell on the Oak Glade estate last week, Maria couldn't get out, missing 3 days of work. But tomorrow, although road conditions in the estate remain dangerous, she's hoping to return to her job.
I can't be really missing any more time. It's very hard for anyone that had to take time off because, I mean, people have to work. I mean, it's coming up to Christmas. They need cash.
Others in the 100-house estate spent the week at home minding their children after schools and childcare facilities closed.
Well, I have 3 kids at home under the age of 9, and I think they're kind of quite fed up with the sight of each other at this stage. If there was a little bit more resources around for us to get in and out and just get to work and get the kids to school, just to be able to get on with our normal day-to-day lives.
Kildare County Council says it hasn't resources to clear housing estates, but it's encouraging residents to do the job themselves.
What we would ask housing estates or resident association to do is to concentrate on the junctions within the estate and also footpaths in the areas of the estate if they are in fact undertaking some clean-up operation of snow and ice.
But aside from the difficulties that residents face getting into and out of estates like this one, they've also been dealing with a whole host of other problems. Mother of 4, Diana Kane, lost her water for a time after the supply froze.
It took a few hours and my husband got it working again. He used a gas heater at the sink and he worked it for a few hours, cleared the snow out the back and that, and we got it back eventually.
While some residents encountered problems when they went to use their cars today.
All right, can you give it a go?
I haven't been in the car since the snow came. I love the snow, it looks lovely, but I'm terrified to drive. I'm even afraid to walk.
Despite the challenges, however, Oak Glade's residents remain upbeat in the hope that the big freeze will become the big thaw very soon. Will Goodbody, RTE News, Naas.
Our reporter Ray Kennedy joins me now. Ray, ice seems to have been the big problem today on roads and footpaths. What's the situation tonight?
And it's quite bad already. Temperatures across the country are reaching figures like -4 and -9. Now what that means is that following yesterday's thaw, when a lot of the snow turned to moisture, that moisture has now refrozen as ice. Now the expert group who are viewing this say that inappropriate driving is now one of the biggest problems because motorists are not recognising the danger and they're not slowing down enough. Now we'll give you an idea of what they're talking about here if we look at the road that we're standing on. The expert group say when there was snow there wasn't so much a problem because people could see it. You can see it's still banked up here. It's an obvious danger to people. Now if you look then on the road, it looks shiny, it looks slightly wet. It's not wet, that's ice, and in fact since we were here at the 6 o'clock news we've noticed areas of it that have got even slippier in the past hour as the temperatures fall. Now what they're saying to people is don't think the road is safe because you can't see the snow, you can't see the white ice. That's what they're talking about when people refer to black ice. It's almost invisible. But when a car attempts to stop or reach the steep corner, drivers will find themselves in difficulty. So they really are appealing to people not to drop their guard.
And we've heard there, Ray, of the situation, the difficulties in A&E departments. How are the essential services generally coping with the increased demands?
Well, if we deal with transport first, for instance, today they were saying they would have full services, but in the past 10 minutes all Dublin buses have ceased across the city. They finished at 9 o'clock, except for buses that had already left with passengers or were heading back to depots. Bus Éireann are cancelling most of their services along the east coast where icing is bad, but are continuing into the Midlands and West and hoping for just minor diversions and some delays. Air Northern Ireland and the Dart, they say they are operating. Hospitals say they are really stretched at the moment, but they say that the big response by the community in clearing footpaths and roads across the country has helped them get staff to work in the first instance, but also in the past 24 hours they believe has reduced the amount of accidents and falls that people were experiencing in the past 7 days. Quick word on schools though, that's up to each school to determine in the morning or indeed this evening just how dangerous it is within their grounds to have children coming in, and they will be sending text alerts to parents and indeed using their own websites where they're available, so people should look to those.
Well, we're looking at temperatures that may go down to -10 and there's certainly snow forecast for some parts of the country tonight. How much longer, Ray, can this go on?
Well, that's it. It's certainly going on for the next 3 days anyway. That's what Met Éireann are saying. Certainly in terms of the temperatures, there is some snowfall expected in high ground stretching from Donegal down along the west coast. Some light drizzle elsewhere, but with the low temperatures again, that could turn to ice. Thursday, however, they are predicting there will be a dramatic turnaround. Temperatures could hit as high as 6 degrees. We haven't seen that for a couple of weeks yet. And that will lead to a proper thaw where the snow that has fallen will melt, will drain away, and we should be back to normal wintertime conditions, but not the extreme weather we've been experiencing by next weekend.
Ray, thank you for that. 6 degrees.